So welcome everybody to today's webinar. This is a practical approach to RPA success, a joint event hosted by Amplio Technologies and IBE Group. This is a partnership event that we thought we could bring some good value to the UK market. The format of the webinar will be firstly a small presentation by myself. I'm Stuart McMillan, Director of Amplio Technologies. I will outline 12 steps to RPA success, a tried and tested approach that we've developed over a number of years now, that will hopefully bring some good value to you guys as you navigate your automation journeys. I will then pass over to my colleague Alex Burak at IBE Group, who will give you some great insight into an exciting new software platform that we're really excited to bring to the UK market. We believe it's very innovative, UK first, and it will help you get to value very quickly and to scale your automation interventions very quickly and at low cost, due to the fact that there are no license fees, which can regularly be prohibitively expensive when it comes to scaling a large automation program. So if you don't mind, for the purposes of those who are going to listen to the recording after the event, if we could keep the questions until the end, I will facilitate those. So feel free to either put the questions in the Q&A box or put your hands up and we can go live and have an interactive discussion. So really thank you for your attendance today. Thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedules. And I really do hope you enjoy this and get some value. So with that in mind, we will continue. Very small agenda today from me. It's think long term, deliver value in the short, and scale fast. So what that is 3 steps, each containing some information on how to bring your automation program to life without neglecting any of the elements, and hopefully be able to deliver good value to your organizations. As we all know, this technology is coming very, very fast. There's no escaping it, I'm afraid. So what we really need to do is learn to cooperate with the robotic revolution into the automation age, and I hope this will help you guys to do so. So step 1, think long term. So what does that mean? That means this isn't just a short-term project. This is not just a one-time thing. It's not a once and done technology implementation program. It's a fundamental shift in how organizations will operate, how we do business, and how we work as people, and how we interact with our computers and the machines that will power them. So this is a revolution. There have been a number of those before us, as I'm sure all of you will be aware. The industrial revolution, the digital revolution, or the information age, as it was called. Actually, if you look at the revolutions over time, they came quicker and quicker and quicker, and this one will be no different. This will be very fast, so we need to be prepared in order to adapt and manage this, manage the change, and ensure that our organizations are ready, as well as ourselves. We've reskilled and made ourselves useful in the next shift. This, as I said, this is a revolution. So in order to do that, we need to adopt a long-term growth mindset, and we need to strategize our approach to that. And what I mean by that is, from an organization perspective, how do we see the future of that organization, of our organization? How will we use this technology, and will we develop and deploy the robots in-house? Will we take an ownership approach, whereby we develop the automation interventions and we host them either on our own laptops or on our servers, and in doing so we then sort of take control? That's not to say that there won't be outside support required. You know, that's absolutely necessary, at least during the early phases of the program. But then there's the other approach, whereby an organization decides they don't need to take on the investment in owning the robots, or investment in training their staff, and actually the organization would prefer to outsource their automation processing power to a third-party organization who can manage these from a remote location in the cloud. So that's an absolutely viable strategy, not one that you see frequently at the minute. It's sort of coming to the fore now. There's not really many people doing it that we're aware of, and this will allow organizations to really focus on their core competencies, become very, very agile in terms of how they respond to market shifts. But nevertheless, either approach will allow much greater value in processing power, much faster, much more accurate processing, and a greater ability to track that business cycle. So we know we need it. We know we've got to get there, and it is a journey that we're all going on together. So in order to do that within your organization effectively, what we need to do is establish robust governance. And what that means is that we ensure that each automation intervention that we are deploying is well spec'd, it's on the right processes, it's useful to the organization, it adds value to the strategy as a whole. Data integrity then becomes a core value. These robots don't tolerate, they will not tolerate uncertainties or gaps in data. We need the data to be robust and clear at the point of use where it needs to be. We need clear roles and responsibilities about who is operating the robots, what the clear demarcation lines of responsibility there. The process models need to be tight. They need to be reviewed frequently, that governance is really what underpins this entire program. Without robust governance, we'll end up automating the wrong processes, and we'll not really get good value there. In doing this, part of the governance is going to involve a lot of change for people. We need to make sure that our people are prepared for change. A lot of programs in the past that management or leadership have brought into organizations will have been just pushed on to the operators potentially. This is going to involve a much bigger shift, a much more fundamental shift in how the organization operates and how managers see their roles and responsibilities within that. This is probably going to hit middle management potentially bigger than it ever has done before. A lot of the time, managers are protective of their staff and their lines of responsibility. This is potentially going to upset that and disrupt that. So we do need to put the time in with that hearts and minds and prepare the organization for change management. So it is a long-term game. Just to summarize this slide, it is a long-term game that we're a long-term journey we're going on. It's going to affect all organizations from big to small in almost any industry. And potentially what you'll see out the back of this is new business models and organizations operating in new ways, as well as us ourselves as people. We will operate in new ways. And in order to do that, we need to ensure that we're on the right track. We're doing what's right for the organization as well as ourselves. It's all done in a strategic manner rather than an ad hoc manner. And we underpin that with robust governance and prepare everybody for this change journey that we're going on. So that's the long term. But in order to make this effective, we need to deliver value in the short. We need to make this valuable to the organization. We need to prove the value of the technology. The technology is maturing somewhat in some areas, and no longer do we need to prove the concept. The concept has definitely been proven that this technology is valuable to the organization and businesses as a whole. However, what we do need to do when we're deploying this in an early stage in an organization, we need to ensure that we seek those processes that have the technical viability. They need to be suitable for automation. There's no good looking for processes that involve ambiguity or human judgment or creativity. Those are the types of processes that will be protected from this automation revolution. What we need to do here is ensure that the processes are technically viable and suitable for this sort of technology in terms of being rules-based and repetitive. If we can define those rules, then we can start to automate those processes. But what we need to do is validate that with a commercial feasibility. Now, what you'll find is there are a lot of technical opportunities out there, but we need to ensure that there is a good business case that supports that means the investment is going to be paid back in a quick enough time. A lot of these automation projects, these processes, will return an ROI within less than 12 months, even as quick as 3. So we do need to be sure that there is volume in that process and that the ROI is returned. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes the commercial feasibility isn't about unlocking value and replacing humans and getting the robots to do the work. Sometimes what we're looking for here is accuracy and speed or 24/7 processing. So there's all these supplemental values that the technology does bring. We just need to be sure that we answer the technical viability with the commercial feasibility to ensure that actually what we're deploying is the right solution in the right place. And we at Amplio, we've developed our proprietary could you, should you matrix. It's just a 2x2 matrix that will model the technical feasibility and a commercial viability of a process on that. If we get those two right, and we get those robots deployed quickly, that will unlock value in the organization very fast. It will absolutely be able to create new space within the organization. A lot of organizations are constantly chasing the repetitive and the mundane processes, making sure that business as usual is achieved. You know, I'm sure you've all been there, feeling like you're just chasing that hamster wheel, trying to get your reports written and the transactions processed and closed out and whatnot. I know a lot of friends in finance functions spend days and days on end at the end of the month and at the end of the quarter trying to get all of their transactions all dealt with, all the ledgers updated and whatnot. So this technology will absolutely free up time there and allow us to focus, us to focus on the more humanistic aspects of our roles, that things that are a little bit more cognitive, innovative, a little bit more challenging in terms of our own creativity. And when we start to do that in our organization, we delegate the repetitive, mundane work to the robots that they're good at, and that frees us up to do the more innovative work. I know a lot of colleagues and friends and myself over the years, you've always got these nice to have projects, you know, your 20% projects that you're supposed to do. And a lot of the time they get neglected, or we don't spend as much time on these projects as we would like because we're constantly processing the repetitive. This will absolutely free up all of that time. And what we need to do once we've achieved that is to maintain that momentum. We need to then keep looking for the next processors that will be suitable for this technology, and keeping abreast of the technology as it evolves. It does evolve rapidly. We've gone from Excel macros to attended desktop bots to server-based unattended bots. Things like machine learning is advancing, and AI, depending on your opinion, is coming thick and fast. And you know, this will grow exponentially. We need to be prepared for this. As humans, we tend to think linearly, and you know, we think that this technology is not going to come and affect us immediately. But actually, as we saw with the speeding up of the previous industrial revolutions, this one's going to come very, very quickly within our career, and we need to be prepared for that. As a whole, humans, we need to be prepared for how that model is going to change, and we do need to maintain that momentum in the organization. Once we've got to value, we've identified the right processes, the technical viability with the commercial feasibility, we unlock that value, we create the hype, build the momentum, and then we keep moving forward. And in doing so, we're then able to scale fast. By scaling fast, what I mean is to get around into the organization and ensure that the technology is applied at all areas of the organization where it's valid. We need to ensure that we democratize the technology for not only our people, but also the technology itself. You know, in terms of the people, we need to educate them into how to cooperate with robots rather than challenging robots and working against them. We need to be able to bring the platform to the organization in such a way that we can scale. The upcoming demo from Alex will show you the new Easy RPA platform with its new innovative license-free approach that will help you do exactly that. A lot of scaling within automation programs is prohibited or inhibited by the expensive costs of each license. With each robot becomes a new license, and in doing so, before you know it, you started to deploy robots in your organization, and you have a vast license bill at the end of each month, or however you pay those down. So democratizing the technology will allow us to bring that to our people, educate them. This is no longer, in our view, it's no longer reserved for the large organizations with the large investment capital available. The outsource model that we briefly touched on will allow this to come to all organizations regardless of size. So we democratize it for businesses, the people within the businesses, and the technology itself is going that way too. And you'll see very soon from this good demo from Alex, which we're all looking forward to see. But once we've got the platform and the people, we need to design our future. What does our future organization look like? That links back to the strategy. Now, in the early days, the strategy is not the most important thing, because it's very easy to lift and shift if needs be. What's important in the early days is to get to that value quickly, but we do need to maintain that vision and design the future. What's our future going to look like? Once you start to get a lot of automation interventions deployed in your organization, you're going to need a center of excellence. And what does that look like? We're going for a centralized model, or more decentralized federated model, or hub and spoke. And again, this is something that needs to be dealt with fairly quickly, because as you scale quickly, these problems start to come to the fore. And what we need to do is ensure that we've got a clear vision of what our fully digital enterprise looks like in the future. And that fully digital enterprise in the future will need harmonized operations. What we need to do is ensure that the humans work alongside the robots as cobots, as some people put it. They cooperate together. And what that allows is us to redesign our operations to harmonize a human machine interface, unlocking that value. Each automation intervention will unlock value within people's roles. But generally what we're finding is it's not wiping out entire roles, it's more percentages of roles. And as an organization, we deploy these interventions, we free up percentages of roles, we then have excess capacity, but no full-time capacity in a sense. What we then need to do is redesign the people's jobs and roles will need to be redesigned to accommodate the machines, and will be able for the organization to leverage that excess capacity into more innovative work. That allows organizations to be a little bit more forward thinking, as opposed to chasing that business cycle and chasing those transactional processes. The fully digital enterprise should be a lot more innovative, a lot more forward thinking, and we will achieve that by harmonizing those operations. But what we must not do is forget to service and maintain these robots. Now, they can be brittle at times. If rules change, processes change, or systems change, the robot will not deal with that particularly well. Now, the good news is it's very simple to recode and improve, or just retweak a robot for a slightly new user interface or a slightly different rule. But what we need to do is make that provision early and ensure that that's part built into the governance model. What we're finding is, what we've seen in the past is organizations do this and they put that burden of maintenance onto the center of excellence. Unfortunately, all that will do is inhibit growth and scalability, when the developers and the business process people who are looking at scaling the automation into the organization are bogged down with maintaining and repairing these robots that have already been deployed. Now, the best way to do this is then start looking to build an automation operations center that is focused on ensuring maximal operations of the robots, maximum uptime. Start to look forward to any changes that are coming in the system or process, whether that be technical or regulatory, legal changes, or any inter-organizational changes that mean the process will have to be changed and be recoded somewhat. An AOC will allow those guys to keep laser focus on maintaining the operations, almost like an occupational health department for the robots. An automation operations center means that scalability and vision and project program can move forward, while the robots that have been deployed are maintained. So that's how we scale. We democratize the technology within the organization. We train everybody to come along that journey with us, ensure that they can identify and unlock automation potential within their roles. We design and model the future towards a fully digital enterprise, harmonize those operations, the people and the enterprise moving forward together, taking advantage of that unlocked value. In doing so, we start to build the centers of excellence and the automation operations center that will need to underpin that future fully digital enterprise. And then we make sure that we get that service and maintenance right, so we can keep the engine of the business ticking over just right. So there we have it. 12 steps to success, battle tested through lots of time and pain and thinking. Lots of work gone into these. Effectively, we need to change our mindset. This is coming whether we like it or not. We need to strategize what that's going to look like in our organization. We need to underpin it with good governance. Data becomes king here, and we need to manage that change management piece very, very tightly. What used to be potentially crawling the bottom of the organization now is a top to bottom, but with particular attention to the middle. This is where some of the biggest shifts could happen, especially in terms of roles changing. We need to deliver that value in the short term, make sure we're looking for technical viability, marrying that with commercial feasibility to make the business case to the organization, get those robots deployed quickly, unlock the value, maintain the momentum, and then we need to scale. Once we can't just stop after the first one, the value will diminish rapidly and will not make any inroads into becoming a fully digital organization. We need to democratize the technology within the workforce, design the future, harmonize the operations, and maintain. We need to then make sure we give good time to the maintenance with the automation operations center I mentioned there. So that's all from me. I hope you found that valuable and useful as you navigate this journey. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll now hand over to my colleague Alex, who will present to you this new and exciting Easy RPA software platform that we're excited to bring to you as a UK exclusive, a UK first, very innovative software these guys have developed, and I'm really excited about what it means for everybody. So with that in mind, over to you, Alex. Thank you very much. I'll deal with questions at the end, and don't forget to answer that poll. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Stuart. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing 12 steps. And then
Thanks, Alex.
Think long, deliver value in short, and scale fast. Those three pillars definitely help achieve success, and we've definitely seen it. Well, let me then move forward. A quick reminder, my name is Alex Burak, Solutions Consultant from IBE Group. In the second part of this session, I will cover concept of total cost of ownership and outline some 5 practical steps that can be taken to minimize the cost and increase return on investment. I'll slightly touch on the topic of citizen or low-code development versus pro-developer approach. We advocate for the pro-developer approach because we see it can deliver significantly greater value. And that's one of the reasons we actually designed and developed Easy RPA, and it helps a lot to our customers. And then finally, I will close with the quick demo of the Easy RPA. Should be done in 25 minutes. All right, let's get started. Just a quick 1-minute intro about IBE Group, what we do, who we are. Well, so we are 3,000 software engineers. We've been in business helping companies deliver and drive digital transformation for more than 25 years. We've been established by IBM. Now we are privately owned, but IBM still remains our biggest customer. When it comes to RPA Center of Excellence, we have a team of 120 engineers, have done more than 500 automations, small automation projects so far. And we definitely believe it's just the beginning. We see lots and lots of opportunities on the way. RPA market. The reason behind RPA and intelligent automation market growth can be explained quite easily. Old players raise lots and lots of venture capital. New players enter the market with some cognitive or intelligent capabilities. Players like Microsoft, SAP, and IBM acquiring quite a big number of vendors with the high market valuations. And on top of this, vendors provide the tools for low-code development and promise low barrier to entry. We are in our Center of Excellence, we believe in a slightly different approach. We more believe that business can deliver, the business can get more when it comes to doing things in a pro-developer. And Easy RPA was our response to the market, especially to scaling initiatives and delivering value. So let's move to our main topic, total cost of ownership. As you can see here on the slide, I've tried to outline most of them. Yeah, I know it's pretty much in here. There are like 4 major areas. You definitely can find more, but let's call them organization-specific costs, but they still can fall into one of the categories like acquisition, operating, development, change and governance. Those categories normally like look obvious, right? But when we meet customers, we always have to remind them that they have to be cautious. They have to look for all direct and indirect costs. And sometimes indirect costs pop up and like customers run into troubles. For example, like it looks like pretty straightforward. The cost to run, maintain, and upgrade RPA platform, like they are obvious. But compensations that you pay to people involved into development, delivery, or process discovery stage, they quite often are omitted. Yeah. On top of this, bots with cognitive abilities like machine learning or some special third-party licenses for AI solutions, they're typically more expensive. I would say at least 2 or 3 times more expensive. And of course, talking about cognitive bots, it always appears that coding them, programming them, and preparing documentation and tagging documentation requires lots and lots of time and trained engineers. And you have to also account for complex legacy environments. We meet it almost all the time. And a good example can be IBM mainframe. Sometimes we see RPAs with mainframes, and by using RPA, actually you increase the utilization of mainframe, and this indirect cost also comes. And then Center of Excellence like receives an invoice and they just get scared from those things. And of course, when you deal with more than 50 plus processes, costs really can skyrocket. Yeah, and that's a headache. I have actually tried to prepare some basic recommendations where to focus on how to optimize RPA total cost of ownership. I would say there is no silver bullet. You have to be just cautious and you have to deep dive. So let's see them. They look kind of straightforward. Save on an upfront license, transition gradually to a pro developer approach, build or hire center of excellence, impose governance, build some form of CI/CDs, use more of an APIs, automations, and of course you have to plan for intelligent or cognitive RPI. And that's actually what Stuart also touched upon. But let me move to something which we want to show where things get complex even initially. Saving on upfront cost can be an issue, right? In here, I have outlined like 3 cases. I don't want to focus on them. Just wanted to show the magnitude of complexity. I remember times when price list for one of the top vendors right now was having only 7 or 8 lines. You can simply memorize them, right? Now it's more than 20 pages. And those pricing models are really complex and inflexible. On top of this, you still need to have at least 3 items to push us and to start your program. You need control panel, you need developer studio, you need bot, and those just like become a prerequisite to start. Because with control room or orchestrator or some other name for the tool, you can control things, you can orchestrate things, you can store credentials, you can change parameters. You don't need too many of them, just like 1 or 2 depending on the size of installation. But then comes development studio. Low-code vendors provide opportunity to develop in a very easy way, I would say, but the more developers you have on your team, the more licenses and the more studios you need. And when you add up a little bit, things get a little bit more expensive. But when it comes to bots or runtimes, that's where things become really Yeah, like really big. Imagine like you have 10 bot normally costs like $5,000 to $10,000 per year. And if you have 20 bots or 50 bots or 100 bots, that's where it becomes, I would say, prohibitively expensive to scale. And of course, you have to take into consideration that cognitive bots and bots with the cognitive abilities, IQ bot or AI robot or whatever it can be called, are priced separately and sometimes also pretty expensive. Or you need to have a like third-party integration. In this case, you need to have a license for the third party and you need to have a cost for the integration. That shouldn't be a surprise actually, because most of the big vendors, they're in the business of selling software. We at IBA, we're in the business of delivering process, delivering automated process. And that was one of the reasons behind why we distribute the Easy RPA free of charge. Then what you can do to optimize total cost of ownership, try to transition from a citizen model, which is very widely recommended by the vendors, to more pro-developer approach. And what we see, it's really good to start with the citizen model. Yeah, and it's much talked about topic right now, whether you love it or hate the concept itself. Everyone has an opinion. We also have an opinion, and I can share it. So RPA vendors often claim they enable developers or citizen developers with all the tool set they need to build bots, and that's true. But we learned the hard way that it is not simple true, right? Citizen developers can be helpful. Low code approach can be a good approach to start. Let's say getting 10 or 20 simple processes running in production, sometimes quite simple processes that you can record with the recorder or build with the process designer, can be done within like 8 to 12 weeks. Looks interesting, yeah? Simple and easy. On top of this, you don't need like expensive developers to do it. Again, plus, but what it gives, I believe it gives like a lot of confidence initially, but then things become a little bit more expensive and a little bit more complicated, because you need to streamline manual tasks across number of applications, number of business units. And yeah, and then in this situation, you just getting more and more things, like it's getting more and more difficult to get things done. Also, citizen model, I would say, helps both line of business people and IT teams to play more active role in implementing and maintaining RPA initiative. But it may eventually cause some confusion about who actually owns the process, who has to support it, who has to deal with the new infrastructure, IT or a business unit. One more point to consider, citizen developers come from line of business, so they know the process good and incredibly good, but only their process. Yeah, but that's one thing. Another thing is they have little to no experience coding, versioning, testing, bug fixing, and that creates governance problems. Our vision is gradually transition to pro-developer approach, but don't eliminate citizens. Rather encourage them to focus on identifying suitable processes for automation, find new opportunities for optimization, help scale initiative. Next thing, build center of excellence, internal or external. Recent Deloitte UK study found that only 3% of organizations have managed to scale RPA to more than 50 bots. And it's the reason behind it, there are technological complexities and legacies that reside inside organizations, and they become really difficult to manage. And with more legacy, with more third-party systems, you need more and more additional engineers, you need more developers, you need to formalize center of excellence. And even for this, you still need to have planned to implement it across all the organization. So with the more bots in production you have, it becomes pretty difficult to guarantee that they actually navigate across complex systems and effectively talk to each other. What we see from our experience, even the smallest center of excellence and smallest RPA implementation requires input from developers, project managers, business analysts, and IT staff. So building this center of excellence can quickly escalate into quite a high operational cost. And then the question is hire or train. Train internal people, you can create some extra gaps somewhere else, like by relocating the responsibilities. Hire from the market becomes also kind of difficult. Alternatively, definitely can work with us, like consulting engineers, but that's also some cost associated with this. Step number 4, which we recommend, governance. In this situation, governance becomes really important because the bigger landscape you have, the more issues you have to deal with. And what we always say, RPA governance is a very important area, and if it's done right, it can deliver substantial cost optimization. Low-code RPA platforms, they do not have embedded system for the governance. You just don't have something which is standard. They always require some form of like reinvent the wheel or try to transfer responsibility to center of excellence. In this solution, you normally have to bring new dedicated role within center of excellence, lots of new documentation, lots of new procedures, some custom procedures. We normally advocate for a traditional approach. It's been already tested by pro developers and it's been proved successful. It's already within the organization. You don't need to train developers new things. Like you can just use what you already have. With Easy RPA and with our developer-friendly platform, you can integrate all your existing governance practices pretty easy. Let's take CI/CD as an example. Your developers already using it. All they have to do just start using it for RPA boot or unit test as a part of UI CI/CD. With the low-code platform, you basically just, how to say, there is no concept there yet. But the question is, are you ready to deploy bot to production that was not properly tested? I wouldn't say so. Who actually is going to be responsible in case bot fails or bot causes other production system to fail? Let's say we advocate for reusable components. Your developers already use Git. They have integrated into developer pipeline. You already have libraries of reusable components. We, as within Easy RPA, also provide libraries of reusable components that allows to apply best development practices, including unit tests, source code management. It's already there. You just don't have to reinvent the wheel. And one more small point about using APIs in context of RPA. RPA is actually was invented with the notion of UI automation, basically. But if you can use APIs as a part of your bigger process or APIs automation as a part of your bigger process, just try to stick to it. We have a good example where APIs can provide massive performance, scalability, and all the other things. Like real life example, our customer wanted to automate SAS platform for their 50 clients, and every UI for the client was personalized with a set of features and views. If you go with the GUI approach, you'll have to create at least 50 virtual Windows machine, and that associated with that requires extra licenses for the Windows machine. With API, all you have to do just one Linux application server. And last but not the least, huge benefit that can be delivered by pro developer approach. We can say that developers can design RPA architecture that provides for greater ease of maintenance. and it can be actually embedded initially, and things can definitely deliver more value. Planned cognitive. As already mentioned, cognitive bots are quite expensive. They require more efforts. You still need to have human in the loop sort of organization. You need to have OCR. You need to have artificial intelligence understanding, right? So things really need lots and lots more investments rather than just going and buying an IQ bot or other whatever like intelligent automation bot. But why you still need to plan? Because there is like, as people say, there are about 80% of the data which is reside within an organization is unstructured data. What we normally see that teams that are doing RPA sometimes are or power users or citizen developers in some cases. They cannot extract most of the value from the data, from unstructured data. Even with considerable training, it's just not possible. And when it comes to building machine learning algorithms to complement your traditional RPA, you need special people. You need trained data and AI engineers, and you need to get them. That's a little bit difficult, so you have to definitely plan ahead. And as already mentioned, of course, costs are higher, and you still have to have OCR tools and third-party integrations to do it. Let me move to the demo gradually. We've recorded it simply because to make it a little bit slower, Marin, can you help?
You will see how the bot interacts with two systems, SAP and web application, invoice plane system. Now you can see how the process is executed. The bot creates new products in SAP material management system, then creates invoice and sends it to client for payment. Now let's watch EasyRPA in action. EasyRPA supports attended and unattended bots with centralized management, so the process can be triggered automatically. But now you see how we manually run the process. To do this, we open Automation tab, select the process and hit Run. A system node with the suitable features is deployed or selected automatically. To initiate a user session, desktop driver opens SAP logon window. Then bot types in username and password, creates new material items and fills in the fields. Once done, bot creates the sell order with the new product. Then the bot sends the order to the dealer. But you will not be able to see how this task is executed on the screen. When you automate with EasyRPA, you don't need to create a special robot to perform this task. Email library is a set of utilities for working with the various email protocols. It allows to send and receive emails, as well as manage mailboxes using SMTP, POP3, and Exchange. The bot logs in into the invoice plane system, creates invoice and sends it for payment as PDF file. The process ends. Event logs provide opportunity to monitor automated process execution, feature text search, severity filters, and sorting. With Easy RPA, you can manage all automation process parameters when required. Just hit Configuration Parameter tab and set up automation process parameter. You can also add restrictions for runtimes and key value pairs or change its behavior. For example, you can change any email address just within 30 seconds by just typing in the required one. As you remember, we can't see how email is sent, but we can check the results. Emails, as in Excel automation, are set at the API levels.
So that was the taste of Easy RPA. We've pre-recorded it simply to slow it down because the thing is real quick. So if you have a process in mind, just reach out to us, to IBE and Amplio, and we can definitely help you. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate your time. Now I would like to open it for questions.
That was great. Thank you, Alex. I hope you all enjoyed that demo there. It was absolutely fantastic piece of software that I hope you can all understand how that could relate to some of your processes. As you saw the invoice there being processed and paid, very, very fast. Obviously the robot would do it even quicker than that, and we slowed that down so you could sort of see the screens as it goes. So that's obviously a lot faster than a human could do it, a lot more accurate. However, as we said, the data does need to be right for the robot to look up there. So I hope you guys can maybe start to see how this could apply to some of your processes. There are clients of ours that do invoice processing 1,000 times a day with a team of 20-25 people. So you can very quickly start to realize the scale that this software can undertake for your organization. We'd love to talk more about this. If anybody has any questions or any suitable processes we can run through. There was a question slightly earlier in Alex's presentation about what is a pro developer. I hope what Alex mentioned there did cover it. But Alex, do you just want to give a quick difference between citizen and pro developers, just to recap for someone in case they missed that, please?
Well, to make things, the interesting question, thank you. To make things simple, we call citizen model normally like business people or line of business people, and a professional developer is the developer who actually makes living from coding the software. Basically, I hope it helps.
Yeah, absolutely. So effectively, a citizen developer is somebody who maybe uses low-code solutions on their desktop to automate small parts of their process. I do the same using the automator built in on the MacBook. Great for single process, very small steps, a couple of simple screens and whatnot. Obviously, very much more difficult when it comes to scaling enterprise grade solutions with the right governance across teams and whatnot. So, much more useful to have a professional developer on that case there. And there was another question asking about UiPath. So UiPath, another great software vendor, IBA and us, Amplio, both have partnerships with those guys, and we can offer their solutions into the market. However, this webinar was really focused on the innovation that has been brought to the market here by IBA in terms of the license-free software of Easy RPA, as well as sort of the hybrid models where you can start to interact with APIs if you've got the facility there that actually is a lot more robust than the simple screen scraping UI interaction, user interface interaction that is achieved by RPA. So some fundamental differences there. All depends really entirely on your particular processes and your vision for the strategy for the future of your organization. So we'd be more than happy to explore that with you to see if which one's most relevant. Really excited about Easy RPA, hence the reason for this webinar. It really is a game changer and will really help organizations to scale their automation interventions rapidly and at low cost. Is there anybody else who would like the floor? Any other questions? We've got a few minutes left. Just have a quick look for open questions there. I'd just like to remind you all, if you don't mind, just before your departure, if you wouldn't mind to fill in this poll so we can get some good, valuable feedback on how you felt about this webinar, if there's any good value there, and you know, more importantly, how we can improve for the future. So there you go. The poll is up there on your screens now. Thank you all very much for your time. We really appreciate it. And, you know, we're more than happy to have a discussion on this at any time you guys feel the need to start to deploy this in your organizations. And we'd be happy to give you a nudge in the right direction if you're a little bit uncertain on the types of processes you're looking for. If you're not sure on the types of processes, we did do a webinar. Amplio did do a webinar a couple of months ago that's on our website that is more about RPA, the technology as a whole, rather than the practical deployment approach and the software. Okay, well, thank you all for your time. Thank you very much, Alex, Marina, for your help. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to speaking with you all soon.
Take care.
Cheers.